good day guys. So this is another episode of our WEBCUSSION in Mathematics in the Modern World. So this is a continuation of our discussion last meeting. So as we all know, last discussion we talked about the concept of statistics, the concept of data and data set. We also discussed the different methods in data collection, data tabulation, and data presentation. So actually, for our topic this day, frequency distribution, this is a continuation of data presentation. So let's start. Frequency distribution is very important in statistics because it serves as an organization in the presentation of our data collected. Okay? So it is a tabular presentation of quantitative group data into categorical or non-overlapping numerical intervals, which are called as classes. So frequency distribution is actually, it allows the reader or the researcher of our data to make a glance at the data which is in a convenient way. Okay, so it shows whether the observations are high or low. Dito natin makikita kung matataas nga ba or mababa yung ating observation and the distribution of our data. If it is compressed in some interval or in some data, o yung data natin ay na-distribute ng maayos, dito natin makikita through frequency distribution. This is actually a picture of how the individual observations are distributed in a measurement scale. So, in order for us to create this frequency distribution, we do use table, okay, and we call that as our frequency distribution table, or we call that as our FDT. Okay, so in order for us to create this table, we follow different steps, okay, in construction of this table. So first step in construction of frequency distribution table, we determine the range. Okay, so our range is equal to the upper limit minus our lower limit. Ibig sabihin, yung pinakamataas na value ng data natin minus doon sa pinakamababang data natin. Okay, so that is our range. It is a distance between the upper limit and our lower limit. Next step, after determining our range, we next determine the number of class. Okay, so the number of class, or K, in guidelines should be between 5 to 20. Kailangan yung number of class natin ay nasa gitna ni 5 and 20. We determine our number of class by getting the square root of our n. Alam natin our n is our number of observation. Okay, so ilan ba yung data natin? So that is our n. So doon natin makukuha si number of class. So we have our range, number of class. Next, after getting the number of class, we do have our class width. Okay, our class width, or our C, is equal to range over the number of class. Okay, so in some books, they round or they have the approximation of the range by rounding it up, and some is by using rounding it down. But in this class, in our class, we will be using the rounding system by rounding it to the nearest add. So question, bakit add yung ating kinukuha in our class width? It is for us to guarantee that we will be getting to get an integer class midpoint at hindi decimal. Okay? So for us to get an integer class midpoint, we should have odd class width para hindi rin tayo mahirapan in terms of calculating group data. Okay? But in some book, they use rounding up and rounding down. So it does not matter as long as ang gusto nating makita in this frequency distribution table, one of the guidelines na kailangan pare-parehas sila ng class width in every interval. Okay? So, pero sa atin, ang gagamitin natin para mas concise yung magiging result natin is by using nearest odd as approximation method. Next, after getting the class width, we will be getting the class interval. Okay? So, our class interval is actually equal to the lower, or in getting our class interval, meron tayong tinatawag na first, second, third, lower limits, so on and so forth, kung gaano kataas yung data natin. Tapos meron tayong mga second upper limits. Okay? To get the interval, the class interval, so si upper limit is equal kay lower limit. Okay? So yung first na upper limit natin equal kay first lower limit plus our class width minus 1, which is our unit size. Okay, so interval siya, kailangan makita natin doon si width. And then after getting that, meron na tayong second upper limit, which is equal to the second lower limit plus c minus 1. So yung form natin ng class interval is just like 10 to 15. Syempre, the next one is 16. So sa ating 15. And then, and so on and so forth. So, later on, may example tayo para mas lalo nating maintindihan yung ating class interval. Okay? So, after getting the class interval, okay, the next step is getting the frequency distribution table. But before I forgot, before we proceed in getting our frequency distribution table, it is important to take note some of the guidelines. Okay, some of the guidelines in getting or in some of the guidelines in our classes. Okay, notes sa ating class intervals. Okay, so our class intervals, sabi sa guidelines, it should be number 1, it is mutually exclusive. Why mutually exclusive? Ibig sabihin ng mutually exclusive, kailangan lahat ng data natin ay hindi nauulit doon sa ibang interval. So for example, kapag may data tayong pinasok kay 10 to 16, okay, 10 to 12, then we have 13 to 12, 13, 14, 16, 15. Okay? Walang data na papasok kay both 10 to 12 at kay 13 to 15 kasi it should be mutually exclusive. Kailangan yung isang data natin nakapaloob lang sa isa at yung isang data natin nandun lang sa isa. Hindi pwedeng yung isang data pwede siyang pumasok dun sa dalawang interval natin. So therefore, it is called as mutually exclusive. Next, we have, it should be, our classes must be all inclusive or exhaustive. Okay? Ibig sabihin, kailangan yung data natin may papasukan siyang interval. That all our data values must be included. Walang ma-left behind na data natin. So, for example, meron tayong 30 na number of observation. Kailangan yung 30 na yon nakapaloob doon sa ating mga intervals. Okay, so that is inclusive or exhaustive. Okay, next guideline, it should be continuous. Okay, so kailangan yung ating class interval tuloy-tuloy. So, for example, 10 to 11, 11 to 12 to 13, 14 to 15. So, hindi pwedeng lalagpas tayo ng 16 to 17 at sabihin natin 18 to 19. Okay. So, hindi pwedeng mayroon tayong gap. Okay? So, kailangan ang class interval continuous. Kahit walang laman yung interval natin, kailangan sinusulat pa rin natin yon kasi meron pa ring bearing yung class interval na yon. So, we have continuous. Okay? So, next guideline, it should be equal. Okay? So, kailangan, gaya ng sabi ko kanina, kahit walang bearing yung class width natin, ang pinaka dapat tatandaan natin in our class interval, kailangan equal siya. So, kung gaano kalaki yung ating class width doon sa first interval natin, doon sa second interval, kailangan ganun pa rin. Hindi pwedeng lalaki yung ating mga class, yung class width ng ating class interval. So, kailangan equal pa rin siya. Okay, so let's take note of the guidelines in our class interval. Number 1, it should be mutually exclusive, should be inclusive or exhaustive, it should be continuous, and it should be equal. Okay, so next, we'll be now constructing our frequency distribution table. So fifth step is to construct our frequency distribution table. So, in order for us to construct our frequency distribution table, meron tayong mga points na dapat kailangan nating tandaan. So, these are the contents of our table. So, number 1, our class interval. So, yung class interval natin, sabi natin kanina, yung first upper limit natin is equal to the first lower limit plus our class width minus 1, which is the unit size. So, that will be our class interval. So, question, paano tayo titigil doon sa ating class interval? So, hanggang saan yung abutin ng class interval natin? So, titigil lang tayo doon sa class interval natin hanggat maabot natin, makater natin yung pinakamataas or pinakamaliit na data natin. Okay, so for example, kung 98 yung pinakamataas na data natin, kailangan, for example, 95 to 100 yung ating interval. So, since na-cater natin yun, hindi na tayo aabot kay 101 to 104. Okay? So, yun yung ating class interval. Okay? Next, we have the frequency. Frequency is the number of the data na makakapasok dun sa ating class interval. So, for example, meron tayong data na 1, 1, 2. Then, our class interval is 1 to 5. So, the frequency from 1 to 5, sabihin natin hanggang next data is 6. So, meron tayong how many frequency? 1, 2, 3. So, yung 1, pasok kay 1 to 5. Si 1, pasok kay 1 to 5. Si 2, pasok kay 1 to 5. Pero si 6, hindi na. So, doon siya sa next na interval natin. So, that is our frequency. Next, we have our true class boundary, TCB. We have true class boundary. So, sa true class boundary, meron tayong lower class boundary and meron tayong upper class boundary. Our lower class boundary is equal to the lower limit minus 0.5. Okay, lower class boundary is lower limit minus 0.5. Our upper class boundary is equal to our upper limit plus 0.5 naman. So, kaya yung true class boundary natin magiging lower class boundary hanggang kay upper class boundary in a form of interval ulit. Okay? So, mula kay lower class boundary hanggang kay upper class boundary. Okay? So, that is our true class boundary or TCB. Next, we have our class mark. Our class mark is actually the midpoint of our class interval. So, si upper limit ng ating first na interval minus kay lower limit ng ating first na interval over the class width. Okay? The class width. So that is your over divided by 2. Okay? Midpoint nila. Okay? So that is our class mark. Okay? Next, we have our relative frequency or our RF. So it is in a form of percentage. So kinukuha natin siya doon sa frequency ng interval natin over doon sa overall number of observation. Okay? In a form of percentage. So times 100 para maging percentage siya. Okay? Next, we have our greater than cumulative frequency. So, greater than cumulative frequency is just summing up the frequency. So, yung frequency dito, we just add that para makuha natin yung next frequency. So, next frequency plus, okay, ina-add lang natin siya hanggang maabot yung number of frequency natin. So, starting point naman natin yung pinaka mababa. Okay? Pinakamababang class interval. Pero dito sa less than cumulative frequency natin, ang kinukuha natin ay si upper. Okay? Yung highest valued class interval. So, yung pinakamataas na class interval, doon tayo mag-start. Tapos, i-add natin yung second highest interval, yung frequency ng second highest interval. Tapos, ni third, and so on and so forth. So, that is our frequency distribution table. Okay, so we have class interval, we have our frequency, we have our true class boundary, our class mark, we have our relative frequency, we have our less than cumulative frequency, and our greater than and less than cumulative frequency. Okay, so para mas maintindihan natin, we'll be having example. Okay, so given the midterm examination scores of 30 students, construct the frequency distribution table. Okay? So, we have our data. Ito yung mga data natin. So, merong 30 na estudyante. So, expected na 30 yung number din ng ating data. Okay? So, let's construct the frequency distribution table. So, paano siya? So, first, mas mapapadali tayo. Ang una nating ginagawa is, we'll be arranging our data. So, it does not matter kung ascending or descending para mas madali din nating i-organize yung frequency distribution table natin. So, i-arrange natin siya. So, kukunin natin muna yung pinakamataas. So, ang ginagawa ko, kino-cross out ko yung data, yung number para mas, para hindi ako malito. Okay? So, first, we have 97, 95. We have 93, 92, we have 90. Okay, next we have 89. Okay, 89, 88. Okay, 86. Okay, we have may isa pang 86. 86, then we have 83. Okay, 83, 82, 82, then we have 81. Okay, 81, then 79, 79, then we have 75, another 75 here, and then 75, may 75 pang isa. Okay, then we have 71, 70, another 70, then we have 68, then 66, and then 67, we have 55, 55, and then 55, another 55, 50, 49, yeah, 49, 46, and last 40. So our highest in our data, the highest or the upper limit, we have 97, tas yung lower limit natin is 40. So make sure na yung number ng data natin equal dun sa in-arrange natin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So we have 30 na arrange na data. Okay? So nakabangga siya doon sa data natin dito. Okay, so that will be our initial step para doon sa ating pagkuha ng frequency distribution table. So first step natin is getting the range. Okay, so the range is equal to the upper limit, yung pinakamataas na value sa atin. So we have 97 minus yung pinakamababa, we have 40. So we get 57. Okay, so 57 yung ating range. Next step, we get the number of class or the K. Okay, so we get K by getting the square root of our number of observations. So meron tayong our N is 30. Okay, so the square root of N, so we get square root of 30, which is equal to 5.48. Okay, so i-round off natin, we will be using 5 as our number of class. Okay, next, after getting the number of class, we get the class width or the C. So class width is equal to range or the upper limit minus the lower limit over K. Okay, so what is our range? We have 57 over our class, our number of classes, 5. So 57, which is, it will be equal to 11.4. Okay, so as a rule, sabi natin, i-round natin yung ating class width by getting the nearest odd number. So ano yung pinakamalapit na odd number sa 11.4? We'll be getting 11. So this is the nearest odd number. Okay, so that will be our class width. Next step, we'll be getting the intervals. Okay? So, kung kukunin natin yung intervals natin, kailangan malinaw sa atin kung ano yung lower limit natin. So, yung pinakaunang lower limit natin is 40. Okay? Yun yung pinakamababa. Plus, our class width, 11 minus 1. Ito yung magiging class ito yung first upper limit natin. So we have 40 plus 11 plus 1 is 40 plus 10. So 40 plus 10, which is equal to 50. Okay, so yung first interval natin is 40 to 50. Next, we have yung next interval natin, kukunin natin plus 1 yung ating upper limit. So we have 51 plus 11 minus 1. So we have 61. Tama? So we have 51 to 61. Okay, so following the step, makukuha natin yung interval natin. 62 plus 10, we have 72. So 62 to 72, we have 73 plus 10, we get 83. So 73 to 83. So titigil lang tayo hanggat yung interval natin pwede nating makater si upper limit, which is 97. Okay, so 83, then we have 84 plus 10 is equal to 94. So mas malaki pa rin yung upper limit natin, so continue lang natin. Then we get 95 plus 10, we have 105. So since na-cater na natin si ating upper limit, ito na yung magiging class interval natin. Okay, so we have 40 to 50, 51 to 61, we have 62 to 72, 73 to 83, 84 to 94, and 95 to 105. Okay? So, kanina kinuha na natin si class interval. So ito na yung class interval natin. 40 to 50, 51 to 61, 60 to 72, 73 to 83, 84 to 94, and 95 to 105. So to get the frequency, bibilangin lang natin kung ilan yung makakapasok na data natin dito sa interval na to. So first we have 40 to 50. So 40, so to kasama to. So 46 ay nandun pa rin sa ating 40 to 50 na class interval. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Dahil apat lang yung nakapasok na data doon sa ating interval. Next, we have 51 to 61. So 55, 55, 51, 67 din nakasama. So 1, 2, 3. We have 3. Then we have 67, 66, 68. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Okay? Next, we have 73 to 83. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8. Then we have 84 to 94. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7. And then from 95 to 105, we have 1, 2. We have 2. So the total number ng ating frequency will be the total number of our observation. So 30. Okay, so next step, kukunin natin si through class boundary, si class mark, si relative frequency in a form of percentage. Then we have greater than cumulative frequency and less than cumulative frequency. Okay? So na-identify na natin yung table natin. Okay. So to get the lower class boundary and upper class boundary will be, sabi natin kanina, our upper class boundary and lower class boundary. Sa lower class, we just add we just subtract 0.5 to our upper limit ng ating class interval. So for the first natin dito, class boundary, we have 40. 40 is the lower limit, first lower limit natin, and then the upper limit is 50. So for lower limit, it is subtract 0.5, so magiging 39.5, and then our upper class boundary, we add 0.5, then we get 50.5. So we have 39.5 to 50.5. Okay, so that will be our upper class boundary and lower class boundary ng first interval natin. Second interval natin, okay, so what is the lower limit dun sa ating second class interval? We have 51 and then 61. So 51 minus 0.5 is 50.5, and then 61 plus 0.5, we get 61.5. So we have 50.5 to 61.5. Okay? So, actually, kapag kinontinue natin yan, makikita natin na equal lang yung lower, yung upper class boundary nung first class interval natin dun sa lower class boundary nung second. Okay, so ibig sabihin dito, magiging 61.5 yung lower class boundary natin. So continue the process. We'll continue the process. It will be equal to 72 plus 0.5 is 72.5. So copy 72.5 to 83.83. So have 83.5. So copy 83.5 to 94 plus 0.5, we get 94.5, and then 94, copy the 94.5 plus 0.5 dito sa 105, so 105.5. Okay, so that will be our true class boundary. Okay? Next, we have our class mark. So, yung class mark natin ay equal dun sa midpoint ng ating class interval. So, actually, this is ito yung nakuha natin. Okay? Next, we have our class mark. Okay, so sa class mark, para makuha natin si class mark, we get yung first na upper limit natin. This is the class mark. Plus yung second, yung upper limit natin in our first interval divided by 2. So 40 plus 50 is 90 divided by 2 is equal to 45. So the class mark is 45. Okay? Tapos after getting that, yung next na class interval natin, 51 plus 61 divided by 2, it will be equal to 56. Okay? Kung makikita natin, they are all integer kasi nga, yung class width natin is an odd integer, odd number. Okay? So, we'll continue the process. Okay? 56, tapos 67. So, 73 plus 81 divided by 2 is 78. 84 plus 94 divided by 2 is 89. Okay, 95 plus 105 we get, divided by 2 we get 100. Okay, so that is our class mark. Kung mapapansin din natin, yung mga class mark natin, may pina-follow din na sequence. So kung 45, we just add 9 para maging we just add 11 to get 56. Then 56 plus 11 is the next one, 67. Okay, 67 plus 11 is equal to 78. 78 plus 11 is 89, and 89 plus 11 is 100. Okay, so para mas madalian tayo at hindi na tayo mag-compute kung nahihirapan tayong i-compute yung midpoint ng dalawa, we'll use this sequence para makuha si class mark. Okay, so yun. So we have our true class boundary and our class mark. Okay, so we have our class mark. Okay, next we have our relative frequency. Okay, so for our relative frequency, it is in a percentage form. So kinukuha lang natin si frequency over yung n ng ating class interval. So for example, in our first class interval, our frequency is 4. Divided by the total number, we have 30 times 100. Okay, so we'll be getting 13. So 13% kasi in a percentage form siya. Okay, next we have 3 divided by 30 is 0.01, tama, or 0.1 times 100, then we get 10. Okay, so gagawin lang natin siya, 6 divided by 30 times 100, we get 20, and then 8 divided by 30, we get 27, tapos 7 divided by 30 times 100, we get 23, 2 divided by 30 times 100 is 7. So total, kailangan yung total ng ating relative frequency is always 100 kasi percentage yun. Yun yung whole natin, which is 100. Okay, so that is our relative frequency. So we just divide the frequency over our n. Okay, and we multiply it to 100 para maging percentage. Okay, so that is our relative frequency. Next part natin, okay, we have our greater than cumulative frequency. Okay, so for our greater than cumulative frequency, mag-start tayo dun sa lowest class interval natin, which is 40 to 50. So, kukunin lang natin si frequency, copy. Okay, so we have 4, and then we add the frequency ng second, yung susunod na class interval natin. So, 4 plus 3, we have 7. Then we get 7 plus 6, we have 13. Tapos yung next ulit, we have 13 plus 8, you have 21. 21 plus 7, you get 28. 28 plus 2, you get 30. Kung mapapansin natin yung 30, dapat yun yung total number of observation mo, yung frequency. Okay, so you have your greater than cumulative frequency. Next, we have your less than cumulative frequency. So, sa less than cumulative frequency natin, you start with the highest. Okay? Highest class interval. So, you have 2. So, mag-start tayo dito. 2. So, ganun din na process. 2 plus 7, you get 9. 9 plus 8, you get 17. 17 plus 6, you have 23. 23 plus 3, you have 26. And 26 plus 4, you have 30. So, that is our class or frequency distribution table from our example. Okay, so ganun lang kadali yung pagkuha ng frequency distribution table from our given example using the steps in constructing this frequency distribution table. So, this frequency distribution table, ito yung gagamitin natin for our next topic para makuha yung ating measures of central tendency, measures of variability, measures of dispersion. Yun. Para makuha natin yun, we use this frequency distribution table. So, that will be the end of our discussion. So, I hope marami tayong naintindihan regarding frequency distribution table. If you have questions, feel free to ask dun sa ating page. Okay? So, that's all for today. So, God bless everyone and keep safe.